On this James the Bike Guy, we're taking a look at the 2021 Trek FX1. This is the entry-level version of Trek's FX Fitness hybrid lineup, and this is one of the very last Trek bikes you can buy with rim brakes. We're going to go into the features and designs of this bike, who it might be good for, and then of course we'll find out exactly what it weighs. But before we get started, consider hitting the subscribe button, as well as be sure to leave your comments down in the comment section below, letting me know what you think about this bike as we go over it. Now let's jump into the bike. So to start off with, we should talk about the FX series. So the FX series is what Trek considers a fitness or commuter style hybrid. Now, hybrids are just mixtures of different types of bicycles, and the FX takes cues from both road bikes and mountain bikes to make a super versatile bike. Now, this is set up with 700C wheels, which is the same diameter as a road bike, but then it's going to run wider 35mm wide tires. So these are going to be much more robust, give a little bit more comfortable ride than a traditional road bike, but still getting that large outside diameter so that this is pretty fast and efficient. It's also then going to run a 3x7 drivetrain, which is going to have a huge gear range to be able to take it just about anywhere. And the positioning on the bike is going to be skewed a little more upright, where the position is going to be comfortable and you can see over cars if you're using this to commute in the city, but not so upright that you can't get a good workout on it. Now, the FX series is going to run this Alpha Gold aluminum. So this is pretty good quality aluminum frame, but the rim brake version is going to run things like external cable routing and a steel fork on the front end. Now, this is dual-sided because it does make maintenance a little bit easier with the cables on the outside rather than running internally, but it definitely doesn't have the same nice clean look as some of the higher level FX bikes, as well as it does give you something to think about when you're, say, strapping it to a car rack or locking it up outside. Now, that steel fork is going to be heavier than an aluminum version, but the benefit is it's going to help dampen vibrations a little bit better than aluminum, so there's a nice trade-off there as well. Now, it does run the ability to run fenders on the front end of the bike as well as on the back end. You're also going to have standoffs to be able to run a rear wheel lock on the bike and rack mounts as well. And even on the rim brake version, it's still going to have a direct mount for a rear kickstand, or you can still run a standard traditional kickstand right here in the center. Now, elephant in the room is of course the rim brakes. Now, most bikes in Trek's lineup have swapped over to disc, and in fact you can get the FX1 in a disc brake version as well. But the reason they're going to run these rim brakes is it does help save cost. It makes maintenance costs just a little bit less expensive than a disc brake format, and honestly, you know, rim brakes still work pretty well. So if it helps keep the price down and you're going to use this as a commuter or your first real, quality bike, I mean, this is an awesome place to start. The bike does, of course, have some Bontrager connection rims. This is a place that I'm pretty happy because these are going to be dual-walled rims. So they're made out of aluminum, they're dual-walled, which should make them reasonably durable. And then the 3x7 drivetrain is pretty nice. So you've got a Shimano Altus rear derailleur, and then you're going to be set up with a 7-speed freewheel. As you go to the front, you've got an alloy crankset on a square taper threaded bottom bracket, which makes for a pretty durable way to have shifting up front. Cockpit wise, this has an aluminum stem to 25.4 clamp and a steel handlebar. The handlebar is definitely going to weigh more than an aluminum version, but it's going to work just fine. And it's got a 30mm rise, as you can see there, as it bends up, giving a more comfortable position. The bike does have these integrated shift and brake levers, so it's going to have a gear indicator, index finger to go harder, thumb button to go easier on the right hand side, the reverse on the left hand side. This makes for a nice look, but it does mean that if one of these two things were to break, you've got to replace the whole thing, so do keep that in mind. Towards the back, we've got the Bontrager Sport saddle. Pretty comfortable, good cushy saddle to it, and it's mounted up on this alloy 27.2 seat post. So overall, I gotta say, this is a pretty nice place to be for an entry-level Trek, and it's interesting that Trek has continued to offer the FX1 in a rim brake version. Now, of course, as I said, you can get it in a disc brake, which puts the brakes down there, but the rim brake version helps save a bit of cost, and that's a nice thing too. Now, this frame comes in a huge range of sizes, which is one of the reasons that the FX series is so nice, is you can get it set up in the right size for you, as well as it also comes in a stagger version, which would have the top bar come much further down. The reason you might want that is if you were running, say, a child seat on the back, or you have limited mobility, instead of having to swing your leg over the rear wheel to get onto the bike, that stagger frame with a drop down in the middle is going to allow for you to just step right onto the bike. Well, now that we've taken a look at the features of this Trek FX1, let's go ahead and find out what this thing weighs. The actual weight of the Trek FX1 in a size small comes in and weighs 26.15 pounds. Well, thanks so much for watching this video on the Trek FX1. Go ahead and let me know what you think about this rim brake fitness bike. While you're at it, be sure to leave a thumbs up. It lets me know you enjoyed the video, as well as don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That way you can see more videos like this in the future.